Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, before I start this video, my PS4 is very loud right now because it's a really warm day, so all you can hear in the background right now is a PS4 fan. I am sorry, that is beyond my control. PS4s are just so loud. So what I want to discuss in this video is the Ying buff that we just received and how I feel they've went the wrong way about buffing Ying. Now, when it comes to Ying, for me, before, she definitely wasn't an underpowered operator that I think needed a buff. The whole reason why I think Ying did not get played enough is purely the fact that there's 5 other operators that are just better suited to attack a site. You know, we've got Ashe, she has her own flashbangs. Let's remember, Ying's only ability is flash grenades. And if you can bring an operator who can open a hard wall, who can open a soft wall, who can put traps on, for example, and they can still technically do the same job as Ying, but not as effective, you're going to pick them. So I don't think Ying deserved a buff. She was perfectly fine the way she was. If not, that was actually too strong. And you're not going to force people to play Ying. You have to realize that the reason why Ying wasn't played is just because people didn't need her. It didn't mean that she was underpowered. There's a very fine line between an operator being underpowered and an operator not being needed. But anyway, they've went and buffed Ying, and now she has 4 Candelas. And I don't know if it's just for this addition of the Candela, or the fact that it's just brought more attention to Ying and so many more people are playing it now. But it's really proven that Ying is not fun to play against, and if you're just going to be getting Ying, you're going to play Jaeger more and you're going to play Wamai more. And I really think there's a conflict there when it comes to Ubisoft, and a really big contradiction when it comes to their patch notes. They say they're trying to lower the pick rate of Jaeger, but the last time I checked, the most effective counter to Ying, who they just buffed, is Jaeger. Granted, Wamai can stop it too, but they still explode when Wamai stops it. Jaeger gets rid of that Ying Candela forever. It can't come back. Wamai still goes off, it just goes off in a different direction. And if it's a Ying who threw it and the Wamai's catching it by the Ying, it's not going to affect her because she's invulnerable to her own flash grenades. So the most valuable counter to Ying is Jaeger, and Warden isn't. I don't know the thought process that went through this. I have a feeling that maybe they thought, if we buff Ying, we can bring back a Ying meta, we'll give her smoke grenades, and that's just going to make Warden a paradise to play. Everyone's going to want to swarm to Warden. He can see through smoke, he's immune to Ying. Everyone wants to play Warden now. That's not going to happen. You're going to have people picking Jaeger more, even though he's already picked his 95% of the games. That's not exactly what it is, but it's up that number. You're just going to have more Jaeger players. You're going to have more Wamai players. You're not going to have more Warden players. Maybe that Warden pick rate is going to jump up by a small percentage, but not to the point where you can say, yeah, I'm going to start playing Warden now. He's a valuable operator. He's definitely worth taking over Jaeger, and he's definitely worth taking over Wamai. Now, ever since his release, Warden has been a very problematic and situational operator. He was released as a 1-speed, despite not having the utility for a 1-speed and the loadout for a 1-speed. In my opinion, Warden should be at least a 3-speed. I know now he's a 2-speed, and it's a lot better when he was a 1-speed, so much better. But he has the perfect roamer's gadget, in my opinion. Granted, he can still be tracked by Jackal, Lion, stuff. He can still be caught by traps. If you want to be a counter to Jackal when it comes to roaming, that's Cavi's job. But if you had Warden as a roamer, as a 3-speed, they try and flash him out from roaming. He's got his goggles on, or his glasses. He can't be flashed. He'd be a good roamer. But they introduced him in this game as an anchor, and I don't know how they didn't even expect this, but at launch of Warden in Operation Phantom Sight, he was launched as an anchor, and he's too situational, and no one wanted to play him, and still no one wants to play him. Now, what is the issues with Warden? Well, his gadgets too situational. It has a horrible cooldown that is really annoying, and it just makes it even more situational than it actually is. His loadout is very lackluster. He's got the MPX, which I don't mind the MPX, but it's not the best SMG in the game, and definitely not good for someone who's having a very situational gadget. You don't want to give him a lackluster SMG as well as a lackluster gadget, because you have what the result is right now, is an underpicked operator. So his loadout isn't that appealing to many players. I'm not that bothered by his loadout. I'll happily use his loadout. I'm fine with it. But I know that is one of the reasons why people don't play him. So would I change his loadout to buff Warden? No, I think his loadout is fine as it is. What I would like to see, just maybe don't implement this into a live build. Maybe test it in the test server. I'd like to see Warden just immune to flashbangs forever. No gadget cooldown. His glances just last the whole match. Warden just can't be flashed. And maybe this will cause more problems than it will solve, but in the current state, Warden's never going to be picked. You can't bring up the Ying. You can't try and buff Ying to then push people into an operator which they already don't want to play. You're just going to once again bring up that Jaeger and 1 pick rate. And we don't know the thinkings in Ubisoft, but it's made it pretty clear that they don't want Jaeger at the pick rate he is right now. So I really don't understand why they're buffing an operator whose main counter is Jaeger, and you're going to push more people to play Jaeger if more people are going to play Ying. And, you know, they're not going to play with Mai, and they're not going to play Warden, because, like I said at the beginning of this video, Mai doesn't destroy it, and Warden isn't an appealing pick because that's his only job. He can't stop anything else. So this Ying buff should definitely be reverted, in my opinion. 4 Candelas is way too much, especially with that rework that she got a few updates ago, where it now shows you where her Candelas go, and you can load it up faster. And it's just the fact that she cooks that for like, what, 5 seconds, and she can throw it in. There's no warning. Someone throws a flashbang at you, you have a little indicator that comes up. Oh, there's a flashbang, I better turn away or move. Ying charges her Candela up, you have no warning whatsoever that that is going to go off, and you're near as damn it dead. And the way to counter that is Jaeger, but Ubisoft are trying to nerf Jaeger so people don't play Jaeger. So they really need to think these patch notes out better, because they're contradicting each nerf and buff with each other, and it's just going to lead to more stalemate metas where we're going to have the same operators picked, and it's just going to be the same thing, and you don't want that in this game, especially with how much variety there is in this game. You don't want stale operators, you don't want a stale meta, you don't want everything to just end up playing out the same every time. So I don't want to ramble on about this too long, but definitely this Ying buff should be looked at and potentially reverted, because it's gonna put the game into a more smoke and flashbang meta that I think we had before, and you're just gonna keep the pick rate of Jaeger unless you change Wamai so that her Candelas do not explode. Then yeah, maybe keep this, but currently as it stands, Wamai still activates the Ying ability, and it's just not a viable option to counter Ying. So I'm going to end this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you think they should rework Warden, make his gadget better, less situational, if they should nerf Ying back to where she was, and yeah, I just want to know your thoughts on this, because it's very interesting. These patch notes, I feel that they ignored the community a lot. The community had a lot of backlash for these patch notes. Granted, some were a bit, less valid than others. For example, I'm fine with the Jaeger nerf. The Jaeger 2-speed nerf really has changed nothing. I had no problem with that, but stuff like Buck losing his grenades, this Ying buff and stuff like that, and Mozzie losing the super shorty, that wasn't the problem with Mozzie. The problem with Mozzie is his pests. They identified that and they ignored that. But I said I was going to end this video. and I'm going to do that here. So like I said, be sure to let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.